Hey, double hey, San Francisco Bay, Monterey. Wherever you are today, my name is Alex Andrew, author of Perceptive Power with AAA Neutral. Check it out at aaaneutral.com. Today on Office Talk, I wanted to chat briefly about how to have successful kids. How do you shape and form kids into being a success in their life? I have two older daughters, and I have two other children right now that I'm raising at age 13 and 10. My oldest is 26, and her sister is 22. They're both entrepreneurs. They both have their own businesses. They love what they do. They're doing exactly what they want to do, and they're making good money at it. Now, they aren't exactly multimillionaires, but I tell you what, they really enjoy working for themselves. They're probably going to be like me and be unemployable, which is one of the spoiling aspects of being an entrepreneur. But I think what we did raising our children has a lot to do with some of this information that I picked up from businessinsider.com, and they have some science that talks about successful kids and what to do as a parent, and what 13 things that the parents that have successful children have in common. First is they make the kids do chores. How to Raise an Adult was done by Juliet Lithcott-Hames, a former dean of freshmen at Stanford University. And she had a TED Talk that talked a little bit about why chores work. By making kids do chores, taking out the garbage, doing their own laundry, etc., they realize that they have to do work in life in order to be part of life. And I think that is a big key. You have to play a role in the family to help support the family and allow the family to continue to live in a wonderful, positive state. And when kids understand that at a young age, that they need to do chores, they need to do things. This is why farm kids are almost always grow up to be pretty good kids. I can't say almost always because I only know several handfuls of them, being from Iowa. But it's very important that you make your kids do chores. 2, they teach our kids social skills. This is really key. This was actually from Pennsylvania State University in Duke. And what they found was a significant correlation between a child's social skills in kindergarten and to the success as adults 2 decades later. And I think this is key, social skills. Teach them how to communicate. Teach them how to talk. My mother is a psychiatrist, child psychiatrist for years at that point, and I had learned to talk to children at their own level. As a 5-year-old, if you get down on your knee and talk to them eye to eye and have a communicate with them and have a conversation with them in language that they understand, they will respect and understand why you're telling them to do something, rather than standing up with this big 6-foot frame and saying, no, don't do that. And I found that worked very well with both my older children, was to kneel down in certain aspects and be able to communicate things with them and help them understand what they are doing and why they should or shouldn't do certain things. I remember one of the first words I taught my oldest daughter, at least I was trying it. Her first word was actually dad, but she actually got pretty close to saying the word obstreperous, which, being that I'm not exactly the most normal father in the world, was really kind of cool. And of course, it's always great at parties when your 3-year-old's running around saying the word obstreperous. Of course, you have to have the conversation to let her know what obstreperous means too, so that she can at least communicate the word that she's saying, which even made it more fun. 3, they have high expectations. This was done at the University of California. They did 6,600 kids, and they discovered that their expectations of parents held the kids to a higher effective attainment level at everything that they did. The Pygmalion effect, which states that what one person expects of another can come to serve as a self-fulfilling prophecy, is the key behind this aspect of child rearing and making it work. So have high expectations for your kids. You want to let them know what you desire and want from them in such a way as to not put so much pressure on them that it's all stressful, but allow yourself to be able to work with them and communicate, as we said in the last segment of Teach Your Kids Social Skills. Communicate with them so they understand what those high expectations are, and then help them along that path and give them kudos when they achieve it. 4, they have healthy relationships with each other. I think this is key. Going through a bad marriage and arguing all the time doesn't teach kids much about what love truly is. If they think that love is about fighting and slapping each other and yelling obscenities at each other, because that's what people who are married do, they're in love, that's what they learn. One of the things in my situation with my ex-wife, we in the teen years of my two older children, we had a breakup, but we stayed together. We lived in separate rooms, and we decided to organize a way to be able to communicate and adjust and not be angry at each other. And I think that worked out really well. They've attained higher education levels as parents, and I think this is key. As entrepreneurs, that's a very similar thing. Both my wife and I were entrepreneurs. We owned our own business. But it's true that if people have a higher education, they tend to be able to communicate better with their kids than typical teen parent mothers who don't quite have the education or understanding as far as being able to raise kids, especially if they're single family and the father isn't around much. 6, they teach their kids math early on. Being a math and science guy and a financial advisor for years and years, I think it's suitable to teach kids about money. That's one of the things that I taught my kids, not only just addition and subtraction and multiplication and division, but was being able to understand how money works and how's that compounding effect of growth work, and how do you spend money properly and budget and so on and so forth. 7, they develop a relationship with their kids. This is key. You need to understand how to talk to the kids in such a way that they aren't fearful to come to you when they're teenagers with stuff that they think they're going to be in trouble with. Reassure them of that. Start this early on as a young parent, as a young kid. Make sure you have that relationship. It helps to create that relationship later on in life, that they know that they at least have somebody that they can fall back on, that they know and they trust, so they don't feel so out there. A lot of kids say, I don't want to grow up. I want to grow up because it's scary. But if they know that their parents are there, it makes it a lot easier, that transition from leaving home and going out into the workspace. Number 8, they're less stressed. This was a big thing that we learned early on. My ex-wife and I started a show called It's Your Show, You're the Director, This Is Your Life. Allow yourself to be able to create things the way you desire. So we did a lot of prayer and meditation at home. And I think losing that stressful aspect, even if it's money or something along those other lines, creating an idea of how to manifest and create things in your own life, which is a lot of what the book, Perceptive Power, is about. Using your perceptions and changing those just enough is powerful. Check it out, aaaneutral.com. It's so powerful to be able to understand how that works. 9, they value effort over avoiding failure. Allow your kids to fail. Let them know you're not failing, you're learning. How many times did Albert Einstein have to fail at a lot of the things he did? He didn't fail. It was an education. He just figured out a bunch of ways that it didn't work. And that's all that failure is. It's a different name. Change the name if you have to. Allow failure to be that educational experience, and value the effort in everything that they do, even if it doesn't come to the conclusion that you want or they want. The mom's work. This is kind of a weird one. My mother worked. She was a psychiatrist, of course, and I think it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I think what it does prove is that you can take on any role you desire in life. If you have kids, you just don't have to take on the role of a housewife. You can do what you want to do. And as long as you're combining all these other things together, you're going to have some kids that really want to go out there, make a difference in life, work hard to be able to change society to be better. And lastly, parents teach grit. That tendency to sustain interest in and effort toward very long-term goals is key. You want your kids to know that if they can stay focused and keep plugging away, even though they're learning educational experiences, not failure, along the way, that as long as they keep doing it long enough, they can create and manifest anything that they desire. Let's go over this just one more time really quick because I think there's some good information in here. Parents make their kids do chores. Parents teach their kids social skills. Parents have high expectations for their children. Parents have healthy relationships with each other. Parents have attained higher educational levels or at least became entrepreneurs of their own business. Parents teach their kids math early on. Parents, they develop a relationship with their kids. Parents, they're less stressed. Parents, they value effort over avoiding failure, which we now call a learning experience. Parents, the moms do work and don't just necessarily take on the role of being a housewife. And parents, they teach grit to their children to help make them more successful. And you too can have wonderful, successful kids. It's really almost all about communication and being able to talk to your kids on the same level that they are and allowing them to grow up into the level that you have and adulthood and beyond. We all love our kids. We all want to see them be successful. So we got to figure out a pattern in our lives as we're raising them to help create that. We talk a lot about that kind of thing, basically conscious living here on KIYS radio. And I'm really proud to have my segments here on KIYS radio. Thanks again for joining me on Office Talk. My name's Alex Andrew. Have a great day. Love you all. Bye-bye.